No, it's okay.
Okay. So again, for the new participants joining to this call that are potential partners, we have some introduction document. You'll find a white paper, technical charter. This minute will be published in the public repo. So for the moment, it's just a draft repo, but you'll find these minutes in the governance wiki. You've got also, of course, the technical charter. You've got a Slack, so don't hesitate also to interact with the team through the Slack between two TSC, for example. And you can also create some issues here. Okay. So this is for the introduction, and continuing on this onboarding, we've planned a dedicated onboarding session with Q&A. So don't hesitate to join it. It will be the 1st of February. You've got here the link with all the informations related to it. So this is this Q&A session of the 1st February. We're going to present why this project and so on. So we already made one occurrence of it. So if you already join it, I think you have a little added value to join to the second, but you are always welcome. But yeah, it's really to have more interactive session than the TAC, which have a strict agenda for today with many topics to cover.
Any chance that it could be moved to 16 CET like this, because it's again 1 a.m. Pacific time?
Let me check if I can change the time slot. Yeah. If I will change the time slot.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is for the first news. A second topic is that Luis Velarde and I we presented Sylva to the technical meeting of Anuket. So we have been invited by Gergely from Nokia, who is co-chair of this technical committee. We had a good feedback on the Sylva initiative, and they see the members identified some synergies between Anuket and Sylva. And for example, they clearly mentioned that if Sylva is compliant to RC2 testing, so Sylva will be compliant to any CAT requirements. So it's one of our target and one of our objective to be aligned with the Anuket requirements. So basically, Anuket will be responsible to define the architecture, to define the framework of test, and we will implement it on Sylva. So Sylva will be the place for implementation. Okay, and on the chat, you can see that Théophile is sharing also different links, so don't hesitate to use it. Thanks, Théophile. We had discussion during last TSC to see our previous onboarding session to identify the link with Nefio. So we are starting this topic. Maybe we have more clear view at the end of February, but definitely there are some members of Sylva who are also involved in Nefio. So we are going to clarify the link and also the synergy with Nefio. Basically, Nefio on the lifecycle management of the CNF and Sylva on the cloud layer, but we need to be more clear on this aspect. I think it will be useful for all, and also to push our vision to the Nefio project. Okay. And last point on the general news was the Telcode co-hosted event has been confirmed. So it was not so clear for the moment. We were in touch with the organizers. So it is a co-hosted event at the KubeCon, and there's we've got now the call for paper deadline. It would be the 5th of February. It may change. I had some discussion, so it may delayed, but we plan with Matthew Ron to propose a topic to introduce Sylva and following the announcement under the Linux Foundation Europe, but also to present the first public release of the stack. So we will work with Matthew to precise what can be shared, and of course we will share to all the TSC the content of this presentation. And again, you can see that Théophile is sharing the more information about this event. So I will let the floor to Matthew to introduce where we are on the first working group. So this working group is dedicated to the stack development. And Matthew, the floor is yours. And don't hesitate if you need to share your screen, if you have some element to share.
Yeah, thank you again.
It's also possible.
Hello, everyone. So we have a lot of new participants today. And what I want first to mention is that we've been working for some months on this stack, on the Sylva stack, not publicly for the moment. We aim at moving to the public Sylva repository as soon as possible. We still are cleaning up the code we have today, working on the documentation to be able to any newcomers to easily deploy the Sylva stack as it is today in a dedicated environment. We keep on improving the CI to have a reliable stack. It is currently it is hosted on gitlab.com. We wanted to rely as much as possible on the GitLab CI environment, but it's not enough to deploy the stack. So we are setting up some dedicated CI environment to be able to have a nice CI and something that is able to test the deployment of the full stack, which may be quite rich. So this is why the GitLab CI environment is too limited. So the target for us now is to be able to push something in open source where we are today before the next TSC, the 8th of February. Hopefully we will be able to push the code in open source, because it also depends on CLA signatures from all the companies which contribute to the code, which have some codes that we want to push in open source. So Théophile is leading this CLA stuff, and hopefully it should be ready quite soon. It depends on the Linux Foundation tooling, as far as I know, that has to be put in place before every company can sign the CLA.
And we are coming back, Matthew, on this CLA process at the end of this meeting. So yeah.
So generally speaking, if you want already to have some kind of overview of what we are working on today, I pushed a merge request on the HLD high-level design document on the Sylva project. I will provide the link into the chat. It will just show you what are the building blocks. We will see that it is heavily relying on GitOps workflows. Technology speaking, we are working on the cluster API and and we are working with Cluster API technical bits to be able to deploy the clusters that we need for telco CNF, and Flux for managing the GitOps operation that we rely on to deploy the different workload clusters that the CNF needs. So maybe you can.
Am I on the good repo? Is it from this
yes,
branch?
you can look at the merge request on the left pan.
And here, where is merge request? Yeah.
So
on the open one,
there is a draft with a HLD. It's first document that you can take a look at to better understand what we are working on today.
You can click on the changes tab.
Yeah, on the changes tab there is some documents.
So
especially the hld.png.
I think this is still in a private thing. Even the merge request we are not able to see. I think this is still not opened up, I guess. So we won't be able to take a look at it.
Okay, so it's public, but not that public.
Nah. Yeah, it depends the level of role. Okay.
But anyway, we are making.
It will be soon.
Yeah. Hopefully, everything will be ready, and we will be able to share with you, with all of you, how the stack looks like, and how you can play with it in your environment, and we will be, of course, able to have some feedbacks from all of you about the status of the stack and the goal that we have today for it.
Actually, I think it is public because I can access it without being authenticated. So
here is the link.
Yes.
So if someone else without any privileged access can test it, maybe you have done the test in private mode on the navigator, Théophile?
Yeah, now I am able to see it, but previously I was browsing to the same thing, but I was not able to get to it.
Yeah, it's working to Maximilian, so I think it's working for all. Thanks, Maximilian.
Okay, so it's a first draft, and we are working on some low-level design and better explanation of how to deploy the stack into a dedicated repository, especially a dedicated repository for the tools that are going to be used to easily deploy the stack. But if you look at this, you will see that we are heavily relying on GitOps workflow to be able to manage the clusters thanks to Cluster API, and this is the best workflow for us because, again, the target is really to be able to manage thousands of clusters, different clusters, and so GitOps is the modern way to do that. GitOps plus Cluster API.
Okay. Thank you, Matthew. Any question concerning this work group 1 on the development of a stack, or any clarification on what Matthew mentioned? No? Okay. So no specific decision needed at this stage. So thanks, Matthew, and all the team, because you've got a good milestone in front of you for next TSC, and I know that the team is fully involved in this major step. So thanks a lot. Now we are going to our second work group, led by Luis. Hello, Luis.
Hello, how are you? Okay, so regarding the validation center, we already created the subproject, the working group, We had the first meeting last Thursday. This is going to be every other 2 or 3 weeks, depending on the how much work we have, starting 3 weeks. And in this first meeting, we just presented the scope. What is this about? What is a validation center? Is the idea of creating somewhere to validate that network functions can run on top of this Sylva. So we define the scope, we define the way of working, how we should be working on that. And the first step is to have some network function to validate. So the first agreement or the first decision that we had in that meeting was to identify a first network function, which is the UDM from Nokia in the validation center, and create a validation team for that. Validation teams from then on, they work separately on their own day by day work to define the test plan for validating that network function, creating or writing the scripts that are required, and executing that on the validating platform. So we already created a team for this network function. It's going to start the activities of 1st of February, so next week, because in the meantime, we are setting up the configuration for the validation platform, so the first validation platform. So the progress today in this subgroup is that we already have this defined. We already have a first validation team and a first network function. We are completing the configuration of the platform. We plan to have more than one platforms, but this will be done through the year, not right now. And we will start running the first the first network function to be validated during the month of February. So by the next TSC, probably the platform will be ready and we will have started this validation. So probably we can tell something about that. In order to define the new validate network functions, we have what we call the backlog, and we have created within the subprogram, the subproject, one issue. There is the link that you have there. One issue that can be used because it's public to propose network functions to be validated so that we start creating a backlog. Right now, we have one, and I'm working on having a second one because having a network function to be validated means that we need some representative or some person from the network function itself to help on the support. So we need their support to perform the work on that network function. Because they have to provide the image and participate in the onboarding and testing of this network function. So right now we don't have any, we only have one, but we are inviting, and we invited everybody in the last meeting to enter this issue within this subproject and propose a network function so that we can start creating this backlog. And that's all we can tell right now on this subproject, just starting.
Yeah, thanks, Luis. And I had some contact with some companies that want to apply on it, so it's not yet on the issues comments, but it will be soon.
Okay, good.
So I think it's good feedback on the adoption.
Luis, did you say the platform is already selected?
Yeah, I mean, the platform is the place where we are going to deploy the Sylva code and run the deployed network functions, onboard them, and tested them. Yes, we selected in Telefónica Madrid. We have the first platform, the first hardware, where we are downloading the existing Sylva code. The existing Sylva code is not the release one; it's a beta release because we are starting with that one. So yes, it's selected. I mean, the first platform is the one in Telefónica Madrid.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
I guess I want to know what the platform is.
Yeah, it was.
But the platform is Sylva, really. So this is the thing. We have some hardware, and on top of this hardware, we deploy Sylva software. So the Sylva stack, and this is the platform.
So because this CNFs are all proprietary, right? It's not an open source CNF. So how would that licensing would be solved? So if you want to validate, so you would have the binaries from the vendors to be provided?
That's a very good question. And this is one of the reasons why the network function provider should be part of the validation team. we have to work with the network function provider, how comfortable they feel about validating their network function. If we cannot resolve this issue, let's say, maybe the way to work is the provider actually executes during a limited time, he performs the deployment or whatever, supervised, but they don't provide the image to anyone, the binaries to anyone, or if they don't have an issue, they can provide the binary to the validation team, and we can run it on behalf of the network function provider. So depending on each network function, we'll see how we can work on that. But theoretically, we need the binaries, of course.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Typically, getting those binaries, proprietary binaries, is very hard to validate in open source because now it goes into HALANs, right? So that's what how this will work is what I was thinking about. Okay.
And this is why the validation team, so everyone has to be comfortable with the validation team. If the network function provider thinks that someone in the validation team should not be there because they may have a problem with providing or having them close to their binaries, we will have to rework the validation team. This is why for every network function that we are going to validate, we need to create a validation team with one representative from the network function, one representative from the validation platform, one architect from the team, and we have to select who is going to do that, and someone at least to execute the test or create a scripts to test or whatever. This 4 is the minimum number of people in one team. But the network function provider has to be comfortable with this team.
So it is like a clean team to ensure the IP protection for the network functions vendors.
Yeah. So the idea is not just give us your binaries and we will use it. Anyone can use it. No, will be a limited group of people that will have access to this binary to put it on top of the platform.
Okay.
Thanks. I think it's
Is there a
important
public link to join the meetings or to subscribe to the invites?
Yeah, of course, if you go to the wiki page in here, down there, here you have all the information for the next meeting and the link to the next meeting and everything. And this is public.
Okay, thank you.
And if you have any issue, you can email Luis Verlarde.
Yes.
Thank you.
Luis, I maybe I'm a little confused because I thought the Sylva project is a reference implementation, a branch from the AutoCAD. So when you say the platform is Sylva code, is it open source code or have you replicated something? This is why I'm getting a bit confused. Normally,
it's the open source. It's the Sylva open source. So Sylva releases software, releases a software stack that is a reference, and this software is deployed on top of some hardware that creates a platform with the Sylva stack. That's the validation platform, but it's open source. And it's only intended to do validation, no production or anything like that.
Okay.
So
and next week, next week we will detail more what is inside this Sylva stack. So it will be the opportunity to have a deeper view on the design. What are the different components and so on?
Okay.
Okay.
But that's where I was going. Thank you.
Yeah.
And actually, the technical team is working on cleaning the code and add some documentation before publishing all the code in open source. And we are also waiting for signing the CLAs in order for the first pieces of code to be under a right scope for intellectual property. This is why, for now, in the GitHub repository, there is no code in the Sylva repository, but it will come very soon, as soon as all the companies involved sign the CLA.
Okay. Before going to the governance and to progress on this CLA part, is there any other question or clarifying element to Luis on the validation track?
One question real quick. The specification of the underlying hardware platform below the stack that is used in, for example, the Telefonica lab right now, is that going to be published at some point? Because I would assume that...
Not right now. Not right now. But one of the aims or the requirements of Sylva is to be hardware agnostic. So we need to run a validation for a network function on more than one platform with different hardware underneath, so that we demonstrate that the network function is not linked to a given hardware. So we have a specific hardware, but we are not publishing at this point. We will sometime.
Yeah, and I will highlight this point. Our target is to be hardware agnostic, but we are realistic. So we plan to have a limited number of hardware where we're going to run the test, but the aim is to avoid a lock-in with one only hardware vendor. Okay.
Again, this page of wiki, what you shared for the TSC, again, is that a public or private? Because I couldn't, again, I see two different things, because if I go to a different link, the wiki is not accessible. So can you put this validation center wiki in the chat?
The validation center, yeah, is this is a public link, and the TSC agenda is not published yet. It will be published today or tomorrow.
No, not the TSC agenda, but the validation center itself, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I have just sent the link.
You should get access, because it's public.
Yeah. With the wiki link shared also by Théophile. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think since the project is private, we are not able to go because we are not able to browse it. But if you give the link, we are able to access it. That's what I see.
Okay.
So we are not able to browse to the validations. If I click wiki, I don't see any other projects, right? Because it's private. Only when you give a link, we are able to use it.
But it's not private. Can you go to Sylva projects, Guillaume?
Actually, I think you should go to the Sylva projects group. So the link I just published, maybe you can show it on the screen, Guillaume.
Yeah.
So you have
this one.
The architecture of the repository is this one. So you have a group named Sylva projects, and under this group you have the Sylva one and the validation center one. Okay, and you can see that the validation center, the Sylva, and the governance repository are all public.
Got it. Thank you.
But yes, so you need to go to the root of the repository through Sylva project.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you, Luis. So now we'll switch to the third work group concerning the security requirements. Théophile.
Yes. So on this work group, so just a short reminder. So we are working on the EUCS certification scheme from the European Union to build the list of features for Sylva in order for Sylva to be compliant with the highest level of security of this certification scheme. So it is an ongoing work. For now, we finished the work on the IAM part, so the identity and access management. So all requirements have been passed, and we started to publish them in the wiki page of the Sylva project. So at the root of the GitLab repository, you have also a wiki. And yes, this one. And inside this wiki, you can see that on the right part, you have requirements, and we started publishing requirements on IAM. So just the beginning, we have some formatting work to publish all the requirements here. It will be done soon. And we started also to work on the encryption parts.
So as I understand, you've got an Excel sheet with all the IAM requirements that you have to transfer now to this Markdown document, is it?
Exactly.
Okay.
And if you want to join this amazing work on parsing UCS requirements, you can join the public meeting. It's once a week, and you have the link under. If you go to the right part on the security, yes, you have the link to the meeting here. It's 2:30 p.m. every Wednesday. So do not hesitate to join, so you can have a look on what we're discussing during this work group. And so all the results will be public in the security wiki. And that's all for this week.
Okay. Thanks for this update. So now going to the governance sections. We already discussed a little bit about CLA, but just before CLA last week, we designated some committers during last TSC. So you can find that we've updated the contributors list with the committers. So these are the table following the work group 1, work group 2, and work group 3 with the name of the different work groups. So you have all the informations.
So the committers in the charter language is are people able to validate merge requests.
Yeah.
So are able to merge in the main branch of each specific repository.
Yes, thanks, Théophile. So
everyone can do commits and propose code, of course.
Yeah, the different roles of contributors, committers, TSC co-chair is they are all detailed, and of course, voting member of the TSC are all detailed on the public charter. Definitely, the charter of this open source project is public and based on the Linux Foundation template with some modification. Okay. So it was the first part. Any question on this? So I see many committers all around the world, so congratulations to them. Okay, the second topic concerning the contributor license agreement, the CLA, we already want to discuss before. Théophile, what's new?
So the CLA is the very first step for contributing to the project. So last week, the TSC voting members, so the 7 people on the board, the TSC board of Sylva, they have validated the CLA document, so the content of the document. And now we are under process with the Linux Foundation to use those documents as a basis for their easy CLA tool. And once the Linux Foundation will have initiated the Sylva project in EasyCLA, all companies will be able to connect to EasyCLA, find the Sylva project, sign the CLA online, in a very easy way, and also register all their contributors. So if you're connected to this CLA, you can sign the CLA for the Sylva project and then add the names and the GitLab accounts of all the contributors you want to add on the Sylva project under your company. And then we will promote those GitLab accounts as developers on the Sylva project. So this is the process to become a developer on Sylva and being able to propose a merge request and so on. So we are waiting for the Linux Foundation to launch the Sylva project in their EasyCLA tool. Why do we use the EasyCLA tool? It's it's to facilitate the management of intellectual property. So thanks to this tool, we can control the commits and know whether a committer is registered or not in the EasyTA tool. So if the committer has signed the CLA or not.
Yeah. So the aim is to ensure that we are fully aligned with the Apache v2 license that we're going to use to open source the code of the stack.
So
Okay.
as soon as we have this all these those tools set up, we will be able to show a demonstration and to add some documentation on how to become contributor, how to propose code and merge requests and so on. So it's ongoing. We're waiting for the Linux Foundation, but it will be done soon.
So maybe for next TSC, a 5-minute demo will be handled.
Yes.
Okay. Any question concerning this CLA process? So it's a prerequisite to publish the code, and that all we can together contribute to the evolution of the code. No clarification needed. Okay. Last point, we started to evaluate some potential new group. So for the time, the notion of work group is very light way to manage some topic with specific teams to have more distributed organization. And so the first step is to launch this work group is to define together the scope of this work group. And so by a call, if we can have a leader to organize to see what will be covered by this work group, and then to coming back to the TSC to explain the synthesis and the objective. So we've identified two work groups yet, two extra potential work groups. The first one is concerning communication. So, for example, it's to define what will be the main press release we want to target this year, and also the different events we want to participate in. We had the first roundtable during last TSC. So Suzy, Team Orange, Self-Focus, Wind-River were interested to participate in. Is there any other potential partners to work on this work group? No? Okay. So my question is now, is there any entity who wants to lead this work group? So the first step is to manage a first call to define the objective and to start this collaboration.
Hello, André Vieira from Self-Focus.
Yeah.
If it is on these terms, we can lead on this first part. The rest is the concerns that we sent yesterday in terms of communication, in terms of cadence, in terms of how this communication press release will be done, and in terms of brands associated with it. But if it is to initiate the work group, we don't mind to initiate and to give the first steps and put this running.
Okay, so my job and Giuseppe's job is to facilitate your start. So of course, so thanks for this proposal. So definitely, I will give you some contact from those companies who are interested to work in, so you can handle this work group. And as this work group is autonomous, it seems that it defines their recurrence, their time slot, and so on. So don't be frightened by this part. Just is there any other potential candidates? So I've heard your proposal, André, and you shared two Giuseppe and myself a first proposal of scope and some ideas. So I think it's good, but just we are on as the charter is covered. I just want to know if there are other companies who want to lead. No, if there are no other company, so yeah.
So so from Winborough side, we I think we proposed last time to probably use the Linux Foundation framework to help promote and communicate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's some of the idea. Of course, we can work with existing entities that can help us, but for sure, for Sylva perspective, we need to have some autonomy, but to work on to rely on the existing ecosystem to enhance our communication. So it's a good proposal. Yeah. So if we are all agree, so I propose that Self-Focus is starting this work group, and so definitely Wind River, Self-Focus, Orange team, and Suzy have some ideas. So we will share all this idea and launch a backlog to execute those different items. And to present this to, I don't know if it will be ready for next TSC, but for next TSC of the following occurrence. Okay. Thanks all for this point. And last point is concerning energy efficiency work group. So here we have started to have some ideas how to monitor energy consumption on the server, but also on CNF, and how to optimize this. There maybe have some key metrics we can handle also to be compliant with energy efficiency. So some partners are interested to work on this part. Suzy, Ericsson, Team, TEF, Orange, Nokia. So I want to know if there are any one of those partners. So first, is there any additional partner who want to join this work group evaluation?
Yes. So when River is interested to do it, we started some work in Oran with Group 6 with Vodafone. So we will be interested to bring that here as well.
Yeah. And this point is really important to have this interlock with work groups of Oran, and we know that there are some energy efficiency work there. So yeah, definitely it's important. Orange will also support this part. Thanks. And any other additional participants?
Yeah, you can add Dell also.
Okay. It's important to add to have a hardware server on this track also. So Dell is welcome. Okay, so thanks for this participation round. So is there any one of these companies who wants to co-define the scope of this work group, the ambitions? And basically to set up a first call.
This is Jouni from Nokia. So Nokia would have a candidate person to lead or co-chair this energy efficiency team work group.
Okay.
He was actually in the call, but he had to left. He has the last sat in the chat window, Saundara Kannan.
So Saundara Kannan, I've got his name. Okay. So I'll see if I've got his email, but definitely, Jouni, I will use your participation to ensure that this group is starting. So yeah, so Nokia is welcome to lead this work group. So I think it's really good news that these two work groups can start an evaluation process and can start to define a first backlog, first vision and objectives. So yeah, I think it's really important as for example, energy efficiency is one of the key pillars of the stack. So definitely it's important that these work groups can start. Okay. Any additional question or remarks? No? Okay. Thanks all. Thanks all also for this collaboration proposal for many partners. And of course, we'll progress on the CLA process, on the HLD documentation on the stack, and all the different streams, also on the validation center. And see you in 2 weeks. And Giuseppe will lead this next TSC. So bye-bye. See you soon, and the minutes will be published today or tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you, Guillaume.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you all.